What became of female pirates after they were captured will leave you stunned. Alarms blared, red lights flashing across the walls, and the smell of burning circuits filled the air. Captain Sapphira, her long dark hair tied back in a practical braid, gripped the edge of the command console. Her eyes, sharp as a hawk's, scanned the readings. They were surrounded. "Shields at 30%, called out Leora, the ship's engineer, her voice tight with tension. "Hull breaches on decks 3 and 4. We won't last long if they hit us again." Sapphira took a deep breath, her mind racing. For years, the Crimson Valkyries had ruled the Andromeda trade route, striking fear into the hearts of traders and military vessels alike. But this was different. The ships approaching them were not ordinary patrols. They moved with precision and intelligence that no human pilot could match. "Red alert!" Sapphira shouted, her voice steady despite the fear twisting in her chest. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Try to break their formation." Outside, in the infinite darkness, the Union patrol ships closed in. They glimmered like shards of silver under distant starlight. Each ship moved in perfect synchronization, cutting off every escape route. The scarlet horizon twisted and turned, firing plasma bursts and evasive flares. But the enemy adapted faster than expected, their movements almost predicting every twist of Sapphira's ship. Inside, the crew worked like a well-oiled machine. Jessa, the sniper, was perched at her station, fingers flying over her controls, targeting the patrol ship's weak points. Mara, the communications officer, hacked into the enemy signals, trying desperately to jam their systems. But it felt like trying to stop a tidal wave with a bucket. "Captain," Leora shouted, pointing at the main screen, "they're not just attacking, they're learning. Every move we make, they counter it instantly." Sapphira's jaw tightened. She had fought against countless enemies, mercenaries, warlords, rival pirates, but she had never seen anything like this. These ships were not only faster and stronger, they seemed aware. She had to admit it, they were outmatched. A sudden jolt threw Sapphira against the console. Sparks flew and the lights flickered. The sound of metal groaning filled the ship. The enemy had struck again. "Shields down to 10%, Leora screamed. "We can't hold them off much longer." Sapphira clenched her fists. The thought of surrender had never crossed her mind in all her years as a pirate. But as she looked at her exhausted crew, she realized there was no other choice. If they tried to fight on, everyone would die. "Prepare to board the Union ship," she ordered. "If they want us, we'll give them something to remember, but we live to fight another day." Her crew froze, faces pale with shock. Boarding. They were no match for a Union vessel up close, but Sapphira didn't hesitate. Her mind raced, plotting every possible escape route, every trick they had ever used. They might be captured, but they would not go quietly. The scarlet horizon shuddered violently as a beam of energy tore through the main hull. Alarms screamed louder and the ship's artificial gravity flickered. Sapphira held on to the console, teeth gritted. "Now!" she yelled. The crew activated the emergency teleportation matrix, a risky maneuver that could fling them straight into the enemy ship or destroy them entirely. Lights flashed across the room, and the air vibrated with energy. One by one, the pirates disappeared from the scarlet horizon, materializing aboard the Union command vessel. Sapphira landed hard on the deck, rolling to absorb the impact. Her crew scrambled around her, weapons drawn, scanning for threats. The Union officers stood silently, calm and composed, in sharp contrast to the chaos the pirates had left behind. At the front of the room stood the commander, a tall human man with silver-streaked hair and eyes that seemed to pierce through the souls of those before him. "Captain Sapphira," he said, voice deep and measured, "you and your crew are under arrest." Sapphira narrowed her eyes. There was no anger in his tone, only observation. No cruelty, no malice, just a strange, unshakable calm. It unnerved her. She was used to fear, to hatred, to violence. This calm, it was alien. "We surrender," she said finally, keeping her tone even. "But don't think for a moment that we're weak. The Crimson Valkyries always find a way." The commander inclined his head. "I have no doubt. Your reputation precedes you, but your time as pirates has ended. You will be taken to Union custody for processing." The pirates exchanged uneasy glances. Some were defiant, others were silently calculating, already thinking of escape plans, but none spoke. Sapphira's gaze lingered on the commander. There was something about him, and the ships that had captured them, that didn't fit with her understanding of human technology, something beyond brute force. They were led through sterile, metallic corridors, the hum of the Union vessel echoing in their ears. Guards flanked them, but they were unarmed, relying entirely on authority and discipline. Sapphira noted the design of the ship: smooth surfaces, subtle lighting, and panels filled with technology she didn't recognize. Nothing wasted, nothing chaotic. Unlike her ship, which thrived on improvisation and adaptation, this vessel was perfection in motion. "Where are they taking us?" Jessa whispered, voice tight. "Somewhere we're not supposed to be," Sapphira said. "But we'll survive, we always do." Hours passed. The pirates were placed in containment cells, small metallic rooms that hummed faintly with energy fields. The walls seemed almost alive, responsive to their movements. Sapphira paced, trying to make sense of it all. Leora sat on the bench, frowning. "I don't understand," she said. "They didn't torture us. They didn't even yell. Why not?" "Because," Sapphira said slowly, "they don't need to. Fear is not the tool they use. Observation, calculation, control, they have all the power without raising a hand. That's why they captured us so easily, and that's why we need to stay sharp." As the pirates settled into their containment, Sapphira's mind drifted to the stars outside the viewport. Endless blackness stretched in every direction, dotted with lights from distant systems. And somewhere out there, unknown forces were moving, watching, waiting. The galaxy was changing, and she realized with a thrill she couldn't explain that this capture might be the beginning of something far larger than any pirate raid she had ever planned. She turned to her crew. "Listen to me," she said. "We are still the Crimson Valkyries. Captured or not, we survive, we adapt, and when the time comes we fight back. But for now we watch, we learn, and we wait." Outside, the Union ships glimmered silently against the void. Inside, the pirates sat quietly, listening to the faint hum of their new surroundings. Sapphira's eyes never left the stars. She had no idea what awaited them, but one thing was certain. Whatever it was, humanity and the Crimson Valkyries would not be defeated easily. The pirates awoke in a chamber that seemed to glow from within. The walls were smooth and silver, reflecting soft light like a calm sea. It was quiet here, almost eerily quiet, except for the hum of machinery and the soft whisper of air moving through the ventilation system. Sapphira stretched her stiff limbs and looked around. Her crew was already stirring. Leora rubbed her eyes, her face pale but alert. Jessa's fingers twitched as if she was already calculating escape strategies. Even Mara, usually calm and focused, seemed unsettled. A door hissed open, revealing a tall figure in a crisp white uniform. The figure stepped forward, hands clasped behind their back. "Good morning," they said calmly. "I am Director Kale. You may call me Commander if you wish. Welcome to Union Facility Theta 9. Sapphira raised an eyebrow. "Union Facility, what? Why bring us here? Why not just throw us in a prison?" Kale smiled faintly. "Prison is unnecessary. You are valuable, and valuable things are not destroyed, they are refined." The pirates exchanged confused glances. Refined. Sapphira's instinct was to ask what he meant, but before she could, Kale gestured toward another room. "Please follow me. There is much to explain." They walked through corridors filled with lights that shifted softly as they moved, responding to their presence. Sapphira couldn't stop herself from scanning the technology around her. Panels flickered with data she didn't recognize. Screens displayed star maps, alien coordinates, and simulations of battles she couldn't understand. Finally, they arrived in a large chamber filled with strange equipment. Tables lined the room, each with a series of devices that hummed and blinked. At the center stood a circular platform with a glowing field around it. Kale turned to them. "You are here because the galaxy is changing," he began, "and humanity needs champions. All of you have skills beyond ordinary humans, but skill alone is not enough. Survival requires more, faster reflexes, sharper minds, stronger bodies." Saphira folded her arms. "You want to make us stronger," Kale nodded. "Exactly. We call it the enhancement program. We refine humans into something greater, guardians who can protect humanity against threats we can barely comprehend." The pirates looked at one another, suspicion and curiosity mixing in their eyes. Leora whispered, "Sounds like science fiction." "Perhaps," Kale said, "but it is very real and very necessary." Saphira stepped forward. "And if we refuse?" she asked. Kale's eyes were steady. "You are free to refuse, but know this, the galaxy is not waiting for you. If you choose imprisonment, you will be left powerless while events unfold without you." Saphira considered his words. She had never trusted anyone outside her crew, but something about Kale's calm confidence made her pause. And the promise of power, the thought of becoming something greater than herself, it stirred a spark she hadn't felt in years. Finally, she spoke. "All right, we'll do it. But we do it our way." Kale inclined his head. "Very well, step onto the platform." The pirates obeyed, stepping onto the glowing circle. A soft energy field enveloped them, tingling against their skin like electricity dancing just beneath the surface. Saphira's heart raced. This was unlike anything she had ever experienced. She felt her senses sharpening, her mind clearing, her body humming with latent strength. Over the next days, the pirates underwent a series of enhancements. Their muscles grew stronger and more resilient, yet they retained agility. Their reflexes accelerated, allowing them to react to danger almost instinctively. Their minds sharpened. Calculations that had once taken minutes now happened in seconds. Saphira discovered she could sense the movement of objects before they happened, a premonition of sorts. Jessa's eyes seemed to see in multiple spectrums, allowing her to target enemies at impossible distances. Mara could interface with technology mentally, controlling devices without touching them. Leora found she could manipulate energy fields, generating shields or bursts of force at will. As the days passed, the pirates trained relentlessly. Union instructors pushed them to their limits, designing challenges that forced them to adapt, innovate, and cooperate. And the more they trained, the more they realized the scope of their potential. One evening, after a particularly grueling simulation, Saphira sat alone on a platform, gazing at the stars visible through the chamber's transparent ceiling. The familiar thrill of freedom she had always felt in space returned, mixed with a new awareness. They were no longer ordinary humans. They were something more, something stronger. Leora approached quietly. "Captain, do you think we're becoming weapons?" Saphira shook her head. "No, we're becoming more than that. Weapons can be controlled, but this is different. We'll still have our minds, our choices, our freedom in a way." Leora nodded slowly, her expression thoughtful. "I hope you're right." Their thoughts were interrupted by the arrival of Kale. "You have done well," he said, his voice calm but filled with a hint of pride. "Tomorrow you will face your first true test." "A test?" Jessa asked. "What kind of test?" Kale's gaze swept over them. "A mission. The colony of Veridia 12 is under attack. Alien forces have surrounded it. You will deploy with the Union's fleet and protect the colony. Your skills will be challenged. Your decisions will shape the lives of thousands." The room fell silent. Alien forces. Thousands of lives at stake. And them, rookies in this new, enhanced form, expected to stand as humanity's defenders. Saphira's chest tightened, not with fear but with the exhilaration of challenge. "Then we go," she said firmly. We fight, and we win. Cale studied her, a faint smile on his lips. Good, that is the spirit that will carry you forward. The next morning, the pirates suited up in sleek, adaptive armor designed to amplify their enhancements. Each piece molded perfectly to their bodies, lightweight yet incredibly strong. Their weapons hummed with energy, syncing with their neural enhancements. As they boarded the Union fleet's deployment ships, the vastness of space spread before them like a dark ocean, filled with dangers they had only glimpsed in simulations. From their vantage point aboard the lead cruiser, the pirates could see the Veridia 12 colony below. Smoke and fire rose from the cities as alien ships swarmed like locusts. The scale of the attack was staggering. Hundreds of alien vessels moved with terrifying coordination, their energy weapons striking buildings and defensive structures with precision. Saphira's mind raced. Every instinct she had as a pirate, every strategy she had ever devised, combined with her new enhancements, gave her a clarity she had never known. She felt alive, sharper, and ready. "Form up," she commanded, voice steady and firm. "We move as one. Focus on defense, protect the civilians, and adapt to their attacks. They are strong, but we are human, and humans are unpredictable." The fleet surged forward, meeting the alien force head-on. The battle was chaotic, terrifying, and exhilarating. The pirates' new abilities proved invaluable. Saphira's premonition allowed her to avoid attacks before they happened. Jessa's enhanced vision picked out weak points in the alien ships. Mara interfaced with the fleet systems to control turrets and shields with unprecedented precision. Leora's energy manipulation created barriers that protected civilians and troops alike. Even the Union commanders were astonished. "Their improvisation, it's beyond anything we trained them for," one officer whispered. The battle raged for hours, but slowly the tide turned. The alien forces, though powerful, could not predict the pirates' ingenuity. Their attacks became disorganized as the enhanced humans adapted and countered every move. Finally, the last of the alien ships retreated, disappearing into the void. Smoke rose from the colony, but thousands of lives had been saved. The pirates, exhausted but triumphant, returned to their deployment ships. Saphira looked at her crew, pride swelling in her chest. They had survived the first test, and in doing so, they had proven not only their strength but their worth. Cale awaited them back at the Union base. His eyes met Saphira's, and for the first time she thought she saw something more than calm approval. "You have done well," he said simply. "But this is only the beginning. The galaxy will challenge you further, and you must be ready. Your enhancements are powerful, but your greatest strength is your mind. Never forget that." Saphira nodded. "We won't." As the pirates walked back to their quarters, tired but unbroken, Saphira looked up at the stars once more. The universe was vast, filled with threats and mysteries beyond imagination. But for the first time she felt truly prepared. The Crimson Valkyries were no longer just pirates. They were something more, something greater. And the galaxy had no idea what was coming. The battle for Veridia 12 had been only the beginning. The Crimson Valkyries returned to the Union base with their hearts still racing from the fight. The smell of ozone and burning energy weapons lingered in the air, a constant reminder of the alien threat that had come so close to destroying an entire colony. Saphira stood at the edge of the observation deck, looking at the stars. They stretched endlessly in every direction, glittering like distant promises. She had faced death countless times as a pirate, but this was different. Now she had abilities that went beyond ordinary humans, but the stakes were higher, and the enemies far more dangerous. Leora joined her quietly. "Captain, do you think we'll always be tested like this?" Saphira shook her head. "Not always, but the galaxy is changing. It's not enough to survive anymore. We have to grow, adapt, and anticipate. And that means facing challenges we can't even imagine." Their quiet conversation was interrupted by Cale, who appeared at the doorway. "Good. I was hoping to find you both here. The next phase of your training begins tomorrow. Sapphira turned to face him. Another battle. Kale's eyes were calm but firm. Not a battle you can train for in simulations. This is a mission that will test your ingenuity, teamwork, and your ability to make impossible decisions. Are you ready? Sapphira looked at her crew, then back at Kale. We're ready. Whatever it is, we face it together. The next morning, the pirates were briefed on their mission. A massive alien fleet had been detected near the fringe of human-controlled space. Intelligence suggested that the aliens were preparing a coordinated strike on several key colonies. Unlike Veridia 12, these colonies were less defended, and the consequences of failure were unimaginable. You will not only defend these colonies, Kale said, you will disrupt the alien fleet's plans. Use your skills, your enhancements, and your instincts. Remember, unpredictability is your greatest weapon. The aliens calculate patterns. Humans do not. The pirates studied the star maps and simulations. Hundreds of alien ships moved in complex formations. It was intimidating, but Sapphira felt a thrill of excitement she hadn't felt in years. This was a challenge worthy of the Crimson Valkyries. As their fleet launched, the pirates took their positions on the lead cruiser. Sapphira's mind was calm, her senses alert. She could feel every motion of the ship, every vibration through the hull, every subtle shift in energy around them. It was like being inside the heartbeat of the universe. The first encounter came sooner than expected. A squadron of alien fighters appeared from a hidden jump point, striking with sudden precision. Sapphira's premonition kicked in. She anticipated their maneuvers and ordered evasive actions. Jessa's enhanced vision locked onto weak points in the alien ships, firing with deadly accuracy. Mara interfaced with the fleet systems, redirecting energy and coordinating attacks in real time. Leora's energy barriers protected the cruiser and smaller allied vessels from incoming fire. The pirates moved as one, their coordination seamless. For the first time, the Union officers realized that these were not ordinary soldiers. They were something beyond training, beyond technology. They were unpredictable, adaptable, alive. Hours passed in a blur of energy bursts, flashing lights, and the constant hum of weapons. The alien fleet was relentless, but the pirates' ingenuity began to turn the tide. They didn't just fight, they adapted. They used unconventional tactics, feints, and diversions the aliens couldn't anticipate. During a brief lull, Sapphira studied the enemy ships. They were intelligent but rigid. Every time the aliens tried to predict human responses, they failed. She turned to her crew. "We need to split their attention," she said. "Draw them apart, isolate the strongest units, and take them down one by one. They calculate patterns." "We break the patterns," Leora grinned. "Sounds like old pirate tactics." "Exactly," Sapphira replied, "but upgraded." The pirates executed the plan flawlessly. Jessa led a small squadron to draw the enemy's fire, weaving through their formations with impossible agility. Mara hacked enemy targeting systems remotely, causing confusion and misfires. Leora's energy barriers created protective zones around colonies that were under direct assault. Sapphira guided the fleet like a conductor, predicting the enemy's moves and exploiting every weakness. By nightfall, the first wave of aliens had retreated. The colonies were safe for now. But Sapphira knew this was only the beginning. The aliens would return, larger and more determined. And next time, simple defense would not be enough. As the fleet regrouped, Kale approached the pirates. "You have done well," he said, "but there is something you must understand. The enemy you face is not like any threat humanity has seen. They are adaptive, relentless, and calculating. Your enhancements are extraordinary, but your ingenuity, your creativity, that is your true power." Sapphira nodded. "We understand, and we won't fail." Over the following days, the pirates continued to push themselves. They trained relentlessly, honing their abilities and testing their limits. Sapphira led exercises that combined combat, strategy, and improvisation. The crew learned to anticipate each other's moves, creating an almost seamless unit of enhanced humans. During one simulation, the pirates faced a scenario where multiple colonies were under simultaneous attack. The simulation was complex, with dozens of variables and unexpected challenges. Most teams would have failed, but the Crimson Valkyries excelled. They divided tasks efficiently, communicated silently through gestures and signals, and adapted strategies in real time. Kale observed quietly from a control room. "Impressive," he murmured. "They are exceeding expectations." Their instincts, their creativity, it is rare to see such synergy in enhanced humans. Saphira watched her crew, pride swelling in her chest. They had come so far from the pirates who had once relied only on luck and cunning. Now they were capable of shaping battles, influencing outcomes, and saving lives on a scale they had never imagined. Yet, amidst the training and victories, Saphira felt a growing unease. The enhancements were powerful, but they also revealed something unsettling. The galaxy was not just dangerous, it was changing in ways that were difficult to predict. And somewhere out there, forces were watching, waiting, and learning. One night, as the pirates rested in their quarters, Saphira stood by the viewport, staring at the stars. "Do you ever wonder," Leora asked softly, "if we're being used? If this is all part of someone else's plan?" Saphira didn't answer immediately. She considered the question. "Maybe," she said finally. "But we decide how to use our power, that's the difference. We've survived as pirates because we made our own choices. That hasn't changed. Not now, not ever." Leora nodded, comforted by her captain's words. "You're right, we're still us. We're still the Crimson Valkyries." The next test came sooner than anyone expected. Intelligence reports indicated that a new alien fleet had jumped into human-controlled space. This fleet was larger, more organized, and armed with weapons designed to bypass standard defenses. It was a nightmare scenario, a full-scale invasion that could wipe out multiple colonies in hours. Saphira and her crew prepared quickly. They coordinated with the Union fleet, but this time, Saphira insisted on leading the strike team herself. "We fight smart," she said. "We don't just follow orders, we innovate, we adapt. That is how we survive." The battle was unlike anything they had faced before. Alien ships moved in unpredictable patterns, striking with precision and then disappearing into stealth fields. Conventional weapons were largely ineffective, but the pirates' enhancements allowed them to respond in ways no human crew could. Saphira felt every movement, every shift in energy around her. She guided Jessa to target critical points on the alien ships. Mara disrupted their communications and weapons systems. Leora created energy shields that protected civilians and allied forces alike. And Saphira herself coordinated the entire operation, predicting enemy maneuvers before they happened. By the end of the battle, the alien fleet was forced to retreat. Human colonies had survived. The Crimson Valkyries had proven themselves once again. But Saphira knew the war was far from over. The aliens would return, stronger and more cunning. And next time, survival would require more than just skill. It would require vision, strategy, and unity. As the pirates regrouped aboard the lead cruiser, Kale approached. "You have passed your test," he said. "But remember this, the galaxy is vast and danger is everywhere. Your enhancements are powerful, but your greatest strength is your mind. Never underestimate the power of ingenuity." Saphira nodded, her gaze fixed on the stars. "We understand, and we will be ready." The Crimson Valkyries had faced their first true test as enhanced humans, and they had survived. But the universe was vast, unpredictable, and full of challenges they could not yet imagine. And Saphira knew that the real test was only beginning. The battle was over, but the victory felt hollow. The Crimson Valkyries returned to the Union base exhausted, their bodies aching and minds buzzing from the intensity of combat. The stars outside the observation deck twinkled indifferently, as if they did not notice the lives saved or the battles fought. Sapphira stood quietly, staring into the void. The thrill of combat that had once defined her life as a pirate was replaced by a strange weight, a realization that the galaxy was far larger, far more dangerous than she had imagined. And with their new abilities, the stakes were higher than ever. Leora joined her, her face tired but thoughtful. "Captain, do you ever wonder if this is really our fight?" she asked. "We've been given these powers, but are we just being used?" Sapphira remained silent for a moment. The question lingered in the cold air. They had fought bravely, defended entire colonies, and proven themselves as enhanced humans. But every victory came with a cost, and the knowledge that someone, or something, had shaped their path gnawed at her. "We've always chosen our path," Sapphira said finally, her voice steady. "As pirates, we lived by our own rules. Now we have new tools, new responsibilities, but the choice of how to use them is still ours." Leora nodded slowly. "I hope you're right." The following days brought an unusual calm. The Union fleet continued patrols, but the immediate threat of alien attacks had receded. The pirates spent time recovering, training, and reflecting, and yet the calm could not hide the unease that had settled over them. Kale requested a meeting with Sapphira and her crew. In a spacious briefing room, he outlined a new reality. "The aliens are not the only threat," he explained. "There are factions within humanity that would exploit your abilities for their own purposes. Power, influence, control, they will come for you if you allow it." Sapphira listened intently. "So, what are you saying?" "You have a choice," Kale continued. "You can join the Union fully, becoming part of humanity's elite defense force, bound by their rules and hierarchy. Or you can remain independent, using your abilities as you see fit. But know this, both paths carry danger, responsibility, and consequences." The pirates exchanged glances. Independence had always been their way. They had thrived outside rules, relying on cunning, speed, and loyalty to each other. But joining the Union offered stability, resources, and the chance to influence humanity's survival on a grand scale. Sapphira's mind raced. Loyalty, freedom, responsibility. These were choices she had never faced so directly. She had always led her crew with courage and strategy, but now the weight of their future rested not just on survival, but on a decision that could shape the galaxy. That evening the pirates gathered in their quarters. The room was quiet, lit softly by the glow of the stars outside. Each woman reflected on the choice before them. "We can't ignore the Union," Leora said, pacing. "They've given us these abilities, trained us, and supported us. Joining them could mean protecting millions of lives, not just ourselves." "But at what cost?" Mara countered. "We've always been free, independent. We don't follow orders. We improvise, adapt, and survive on our own terms. What happens if we join them? Do we lose ourselves?" Jessa leaned back, arms crossed. "We've survived because of our freedom, yes, but we've also survived because we work together. Maybe this is just a different way to continue doing what we do best." Sapphira listened, weighing every word. Her crew's loyalty and trust were unwavering, but she could see the conflict in their eyes. They had all dreamed of independence, of carving their own path among the stars. And now, the galaxy was offering them a choice that would test not just their abilities, but their hearts. Finally, Sapphira spoke. "We've always been pirates because we chose our own destiny, but this isn't just about us anymore. People are counting on us. And maybe, just maybe, we can do more than survive. We can shape the future." The next day, Kale returned to receive their decision. Sapphira stepped forward first, her voice firm but calm. "We will not abandon our independence entirely, but we will work with the Union when it benefits the greater good. We will protect humanity, fight when necessary, but always on our terms." Kale studied her carefully. "A compromise," he said finally. "Wise, dangerous, but perhaps necessary." The rest of the pirates nodded, each silently agreeing. It was not full integration into the Union, but it was a path that allowed them to remain themselves while embracing responsibility. Kale's expression softened. Then you are ready for what comes next. The galaxy is vast, and threats will continue to rise. Your next mission will test your ability to balance freedom and duty. You must be ready. Saphira's heart raced. This mission would define not only their skills but also their philosophy. It would test whether they could remain independent while acting as guardians of humanity. In preparation, the pirates underwent advanced simulations unlike anything they had faced before. These exercises combined combat, strategy, and real-time decision-making under extreme conditions. The simulations were designed to challenge their morals, force difficult choices, and push the limits of their enhanced abilities. One simulation involved a colony under threat from both alien forces and a hostile human faction. The pirates had to decide how to allocate limited resources, save civilians or neutralize enemy ships. Every choice had consequences, and every action tested their judgment. Saphira guided her crew through the exercises, encouraging debate, analysis, and discussion. Think carefully, she said. Every decision matters. Your choices define who we are, not just what we can do. At the end of the exercises, the crew gathered in silence. No one spoke immediately. The weight of the choices they had made lingered in the air. They had succeeded, but the experience had reminded them that power came with responsibility, and responsibility could be complicated. The final moment of choice arrived when Kale summoned them to the Strategic Command Center. Intelligence had detected a new alien fleet approaching a critical human outpost. The fleet was larger, faster, and more coordinated than any they had encountered. You will lead the mission, Kale said, but the decision is yours entirely. You may request Union support or you may act independently. How you choose will define the outcome. Saphira's mind raced. The weight of the choice pressed down like gravity. She could call for Union reinforcements and ensure victory, but at the cost of full control. Or she could act alone, relying on her crew's ingenuity, risking failure but retaining complete independence. She turned to her crew. We fight together as we always have, she said. We'll make our own path no matter the risks, but we also use the resources we have wisely. We adapt, we survive, and we protect those who cannot protect themselves. The pirates nodded, a silent agreement passing between them. They had chosen their own path, balancing freedom with duty. The mission began at dawn. The Crimson Valkyries launched in their enhanced vessels, moving with precision and confidence. The alien fleet appeared on the horizon like a dark storm, ships bristling with energy weapons and cloaking devices. Saphira's premonition guided them through the initial engagement, anticipating attacks before they occurred. Jessa targeted critical points with pinpoint accuracy. Mara disrupted enemy systems, causing confusion and disarray. Leora's energy shields protected civilians and allied ships alike. The battle was intense, testing not only their combat skills, but also their ability to make ethical and strategic decisions. At one point, the pirates faced a split-second choice: divert resources to save a group of trapped civilians or strike a decisive blow against the alien command ship. Saphira's mind raced. She weighed every factor, calculated the risks, and made a decision. Protect the civilians first, she ordered. We can strike the command ship after. Every life counts. The crew executed flawlessly. Civilians were saved, and once they were safe, the pirates coordinated a strike on the alien command ship, crippling the fleet's coordination and forcing a retreat. Victory was theirs, but it had been hard-earned. After the mission, the pirates returned to the Union base. They were exhausted, bruised, and reflective. Kale approached, his expression unreadable. You have made a wise choice, he said. You have proven that independence and duty can coexist, though it is not easy. Your path will be challenging, but you are stronger for it. Sapphira nodded, her gaze distant. The galaxy was vast, filled with unknown dangers, but she knew with her crew by her side they could face whatever came next. The Crimson Valkyries had chosen their path, not just as warriors, but as guardians who would shape the future of humanity while remaining true to themselves. As they looked at the stars, the crew felt a renewed sense of purpose. The universe was unpredictable, full of peril and wonder. But the pirates knew one truth: freedom and responsibility were not mutually exclusive. They could fight for humanity, protect the innocent, and still be themselves. And that, Sapphira realized, was the greatest power of all. The galaxy was quiet for now, but Sapphira knew the calm would not last. The Crimson Valkyries had proven themselves in battle, made choices that balanced freedom and duty, and survived challenges that would have broken ordinary humans. Yet as she looked out from the observation deck at the endless stars, she understood that survival was only the beginning. "Captain," Leora said, joining her quietly, "do you ever think we've done enough?" Sapphira shook her head slowly. "Enough," she said. "No. There's no such thing. Every victory opens the door to new challenges, but we've done what we could today, and that is enough for now." They had returned to Union Base Theta 9 after the last mission, carrying the weight of their choices and the exhaustion of battle. The victories they had achieved were celebrated, but Sapphira knew that celebration was temporary. The galaxy moved on, indifferent to human triumphs or failures. Days turned into weeks as the Crimson Valkyries trained, patrolled, and prepared for the future. Kale remained a steady presence, observing their progress and offering guidance when needed. But he never interfered in their decisions. He understood, perhaps better than anyone, that their true strength lay not just in enhancements but in choice. One morning, Kale called Sapphira to his office. The room was quiet, dimly lit by the glow of holographic star maps. "Captain," he began, "there is a situation developing on the edge of the galaxy. Intelligence reports indicate a fleet of alien warships moving toward a human-controlled system. The colonies there are undefended. You may act independently or request Union support." Sapphira studied the maps. The fleet was enormous, bristling with advanced weaponry. The colonies were vulnerable with only basic defenses. "How many ships?" she asked. "Hundreds," Kale replied, "and more are on the way." Sapphira's heart raced. This was the ultimate test, not just of skill, but of strategy, leadership, and the lessons they had learned. She turned to her crew. "We face the biggest challenge yet," she said, "but we've survived worse. We've adapted, learned, and grown. Together we can protect these colonies, and we do it our way." Her crew nodded, determination in their eyes. They had chosen their path, and they would follow it to the end. The Crimson Valkyries launched in their enhanced vessels, moving with precision and confidence. The alien fleet appeared on the horizon like a dark storm, ships bristling with energy weapons and cloaking devices. Sapphira's premonition guided them through the initial engagement, anticipating attacks before they occurred. Jessa targeted critical points with pinpoint accuracy. Mara disrupted enemy systems, causing confusion and disarray. Leora's energy shields protected civilians and allied ships alike. But this time, the stakes were higher than ever. The alien fleet was not just attacking, they were testing humanity, probing for weaknesses, learning from every engagement. Every maneuver, every tactic, every response was scrutinized and countered. Sapphira felt the weight of responsibility like never before. One wrong move could mean the loss of thousands of lives. She relied on instinct, training, and the trust she had in her crew. "Stay sharp," she commanded. "Predict, adapt, improvise. Every second counts." The battle raged for hours. Ships exploded, energy beams cut through the void, and the hum of engines filled the silence of space. The pirates moved as one, anticipating each other's actions without words. It was coordination born of experience, trust, and enhancements. They were no longer pirates in the traditional sense, they were legends in the making. At a critical moment, Saphira identified the alien command ship. It was massive, shielded with technology that would have been impenetrable to ordinary weapons. "Target the command ship," she ordered. "But carefully. We need to disable it without unnecessary destruction." The pirates executed her plan with precision. Jessa's enhanced vision found weak points, Mara hacked into enemy systems to disrupt shields, and Leora created energy channels that amplified their attacks. Saphira coordinated every move, predicting enemy responses before they occurred. Finally, with a coordinated strike, the alien command ship faltered. Its shields failed, its systems overloaded, and the fleet's coordination collapsed. One by one, the alien ships retreated, disappearing into the void. The battle was won. Humanity's colonies were safe, thanks to the ingenuity, skill, and courage of the Crimson Valkyries. As the fleet regrouped, Kale approached Saphira. "You have done what I believed impossible," he said. "You acted independently, without fully relying on the Union, and yet you saved thousands of lives. You and your crew are not just warriors. You are leaders, innovators, and symbols of what humanity can achieve." Saphira nodded, humbled but proud. "We did what we had to do," she replied. "We protect those who cannot protect themselves. That's always been our path." Kale smiled faintly. "And you've proven that humanity's greatest strength is not technology, or weapons, or even enhancements. It is creativity, courage, and the willingness to make choices, even when the outcome is uncertain." The words resonated with Saphira. The galaxy was unpredictable, vast, and often hostile, but she knew now that humans, especially those willing to take risks and make difficult choices, could rise above any challenge. In the days following the battle, the Crimson Valkyries were celebrated across human colonies. Tales of their courage, ingenuity, and daring spread quickly. Children gazed at the stars, dreaming of adventure and heroism. Adults spoke of the pirates who had become heroes, symbols of resilience and freedom. But for Saphira and her crew, fame was secondary. They had fought for survival, for humanity, and for the freedom to make their own choices. That was enough. One evening, as they gathered on the observation deck, Saphira looked at the stars. "We've come far," she said softly, "but there's still so much to do. The galaxy won't wait, neither will the threats that lie ahead." Jessa grinned. "Then we keep moving, Captain, one step at a time, one battle at a time." Mara nodded. "We're ready for whatever comes next." Leora smiled. Together, Saphira's heart swelled with pride. They had faced capture, transformation, moral dilemmas, and impossible battles, and they had survived. Not just survived, but thrived. They had become more than pirates. They had become legends. Months passed, and the Crimson Valkyries continued their missions, balancing independence with duty. They defended colonies, thwarted alien attacks, and even intervened in conflicts within humanity itself. Every mission tested their abilities, their judgment, and their courage. Yet through it all, they never lost themselves. They remained free, inventive, and loyal to one another. And slowly, humanity began to see what Saphira had always known, that ordinary people, when pushed beyond their limits, could achieve extraordinary things. The pirates who had once been outlaws became symbols of hope, courage, and the power of choice. Their story spread across the galaxy, inspiring countless others to rise, to fight, and to imagine a future where humans were not just survivors, but pioneers of their destiny. Years later, Saphira stood on a new observation deck, watching young recruits train. Some reminded her of her crew in their early days, determined, bold, and unafraid of challenges. She smiled. The galaxy had changed, and humanity had changed with it. Kale approached quietly. "You have done more than anyone could have imagined," he said. "The Crimson Valkyries have become a legacy." Sapphira looked at the stars, feeling the same thrill she had felt as a pirate, but now tempered with wisdom. A legacy, she said softly. Not just of battles won, but of choices made, of freedom preserved and responsibility embraced. Kale nodded. And it will continue as long as people are willing to rise to the challenge. Sapphira turned to him, determination shining in her eyes. Then we make sure humanity never stops rising. The universe is vast, full of dangers and wonders, and we will face it all together. As she gazed at the endless stars, Sapphira knew one thing with certainty: the Crimson Valkyries had left their mark. They had transformed from feared pirates into the galaxy's champions, symbols of resilience, ingenuity, and the extraordinary potential of humanity. And somewhere out there in the infinite void of space, new adventures awaited. The Crimson Valkyries would be ready, always. The stars shimmered, silent witnesses to a legacy that would echo across the galaxy for generations. The pirates who had once been captured had not only survived, they had changed the future of humanity. And that, Sapphira knew, was their greatest victory of all.